Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to your monthly forecast. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We're going to be taking a look at the month of August. You can use this either the month before or the month during, and it will basically give you everything you need to navigate all of the challenges, all the opportunities, and everything in between. I like to begin with the channeled messages, and today they came from two different areas. One was everyday life. As I was taking my hike last night, this dragonfly just kept following me, and I thought, okay, message received. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And then I got a lot of information about contracts and even about liberation from contracts. First things first, though, let's talk a little bit about the dragonfly. It's a cyclical indicator. Its own life cycle is punctuated by three major points. It starts off as an egg, it moves into a larval state, and then it becomes the winged adult that we love and know. And so it is not stuck in any one way of being. It's constantly moving through different states. And it reminds us in our own life, it might be time to reevaluate where we're at and have we outgrown that particular person, place, or thing. If so, then it's time to shift. That's why I featured the Death and Rebirth card. We're going to be using this deck today. This is the Light Seers deck. So if we can embrace that energy, this is the second piece here, the inner fire, the inner sort of power, then we can actually, just like someone that might work with like a metal worker or a glass blower, you can use that fire, that heat, that passion to create or shape the outcome. So what we're looking at here is inevitable change, movement, or shifting, and then empowerment during that. And that's why I always see the dragonfly as this beautiful, resilient, and also high frequency energy. And so we'll look at cycles, we'll look at places that you might have outgrown, we'll see what we can do to shift you into something that keeps you in your power. All right, as we move to the second piece here that I want to talk about in channel messages, it really has to do with contracts. So in dreams, it was not just a question of the contract, but liberation from it. So it feels like some of you may have, just like we were talking about outgrowing a life cycle, you've done all that you can do and you have to break free from that shell, from that, like the exterior of the egg. And so in dreams, I saw a check or a contract and there was an exchange of goods and services. But what I felt from both sides was frustration. One side felt like you're not doing enough. The other side felt like, why should I? I'm just tired or I'm bored. And so boredom is actually a great indicator that it's time to move on. It isn't always this feeling of like ambition. Boredom and ambition can do the same thing. It's basically saying you've achieved all that you can, and they just have different effects. Ambition will usually push you through faster. Boredom will sometimes you're just waiting for somebody to do something. So today, Spirit came through and woke me up from my dreams, and it said, first and foremost, did you agree to do this? And then the second question that it woke me up with was, doesn't it feel good to have finished what you said you were going to finish? And isn't it good to be free? So it kept waking me up with questions that I wrote down. So did you agree to do something? You should do it. Doesn't it feel good once you did what you said you were going to do? And once you finish that, maybe it's time to move somewhere else. And doesn't it feel good to be free? Freedom is something we don't appreciate until we're stuck doing something that we don't want to do. You can always renegotiate. You can try to release a contract if you need to, but the main thing Spirit wanted to make sure happened here was that you finish it so you don't have to repeat it in another lifetime or another cycle in this lifetime as well. All right. Just one last thing before we get into the Celtic Cross. The reason that I chose the Judgment card is because the universe is waiting on you for a decision, for input. The more you are vocal and clear on that, the easier it is for the universe to show up and to deliver. All right. We're going to start off with the Celtic Cross here. Again, you can use this for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. Let's see what's coming through, folks. Good to see all of you. There we are in the environment. Something needs to change. Okay. Let me finish pulling the spread here and then we'll get started. All right, everybody, let's begin with the Catalyst card. So we have the beautifully illustrated stone card here, and to me, this is representing an opportunity that's coming from an unexpected direction or person in your life. Stones, as you know, or earth is connected with pentacles. In some decks, you'll actually see stones as a part of it, particularly, what is it, maybe the Wildwood Tarot might have this. But anyway, I'm seeing something that's coming through from the environment. And as we can see, change is in the environment, death and rebirth. So keep your eyes and ears open, see what's coming through. You never know what might be on the horizon, especially if you keep an open heart and an open mind. You may be lacking grounding in your life as well, since this is kind of on its side here. So if you need to find something in your life that brings you a sense of stability, focus, and grounding, then right now is the perfect time to do all of that. Let's go to your centermost card here. We have the Six of Cups, quite auspicious. This is about friendship, love, partnership. A lot of times this can harken back to relationships from our past, and it could be this lifetime. So childhood friends, sibling relationships. It's also your own inner child, because if we look at it here, we see the child and the puppy, and now we have the grown man and the dog now. So for many of us, we're looking back at our lives and we're having that moment where we think, is this what I signed up for? When we're looking at the contracts too, right? There's a nice parallel between that. So if you are exactly on path, fantastic. If you aren't, today's reading is all about how to open up the necessary changes so you can move closer to that path, okay? So let's now connect this card to what's going on in the environment. This can be past life connections. So for many of you, you might be meeting someone with whom you share a lot of lifetimes, a lot of karmic baggage. You get to graduate this lifetime. You get to release it. Also, let's say there has been sort of some unfinished business between you and a sibling, you and a partner, you and a parent. This also is a chance to release it. So we get this karmic energy that wants to kind of like fall away, and then we have an open door here for something new. So whether it's this life or many lives, we can let go of something heavy, and then you kind of get to create this new path. And we see a bridge here to something even more exciting. So the Page of Swords is communicating what she wants. She's saying, I want this, I don't want that. She's looking at the contract, at the details. And a big part of today was about fulfilling a contract or understanding it. And if you don't like it, renegotiating it or releasing it. So that's the big centermost opportunity here is, if you say you're going to show up, show up. And if you don't want to, let the other person know so that someone else can step in and fill that gap. And vice versa. If someone isn't doing what you need, it's time to release that as well. If you need to say, I'm sorry, I love you, or just speak to someone, be the initiator. The Page of Swords is a little distracted, but she's really good at communicating overall. Now let's just focus on her, absent from the Six of Cups and the Death card. So this is basically a card, especially since it came through on the side, it's crossing the center. If you need to reevaluate, edit, articulate anything, this is the month to raise your hand and speak up. You have just enough sort of assertive energy and just enough ability to listen that I feel like you can navigate what's in front of you. Definitely more on the listening side. Whenever I get a card that's reversed or crossing another one, it's about listening and understanding or questioning, making sure that you've heard correctly. Because what can happen is sometimes the other party infers or mishears what's been communicated, or sometimes you are projecting or sort of like distracted, and this is a chance to make sure that none of that happened, that there is clear communication, that you're both on the same page. As we look at the card from the deep past, we have the Ten of Cups, and the Ten of Cups is just a beautiful energy to be coming through. It represents that many of you have been doing some work in improving core relationships in your life. This could be, your existing family. You might be prioritizing the time and energy that you're spending with those around you a little bit more than you used to. Some of you are ready for a relationship if you've been single for a while, or you're just looking to grow the network. Either way, this is auspicious and it shows a highly magnetic energy. Again, you don't have to use it for romance. It can just be about new friends in your life or advancing in business if you want. The key in this one is the harmony that we see throughout this. There's this musicality, this beautiful, the notes and the sort of musical score around this particular relationship. So the people that you're connecting with now should be bringing that sense of harmony in. And if they're not, it's a chance to sort of reevaluate and think, really, what am I doing with this time and energy? Is it what I need? Is it what I want? Now, for some of you, there's also a chance for something to get pretty serious pretty quickly with the 10 of Cups and the 6 of Cups. Some of you might be starting a family or wanting to start a family. This can also be about growing your business as well, because this can be sort of like the professional family. But either way, I'm looking at an increased focus on the people around you. And for some of you, you're saying to the one that you love, are we serious? Where do we stand? You want to put it in writing like a marriage contract. Same thing in business. Is this the place that I want to be? Is this something that I can really build a future on? So that contractual question that I got earlier, it really matters right now. Do you like who you're with? Do you like what you're doing? Do you like where you're at? If you do, maybe put it in writing. If you don't, maybe clear it out so that you can make room for these energies that are ready and are knocking here in the environment. All right, as we look at the recent past here, we have a very positive card, 9 of Pentacles. This is a fiercely independent card. It's also a really positive card if I'm going to look at anything related to finances. So recent past, the work that you've just done or are finishing up right now, it looks like it's going to be something that's going to bring growth, stability, and something that will last. As I'm looking at this card, it lacks my favorite feature, which is that little garden snail, but I like everything else here, which is she's reaping the rewards of her hard work. Good news could be incoming. And the only thing that ever I really want to sort of underline with the 9 of Pentacles is you can do everything on your own if you want to. You don't have to, though. There's always an opportunity to ask for help, to reach out, and maybe get to the finish line even faster. That independence, I totally understand. Sometimes we just want to prove that it can be done. All right, let's take a look now at what's coming through in the crowning position. A really archaic word came to mind, and it was stalwart, just some like hardworking, loyal, dependable. That's what I saw when I looked at this card. The fact that this card came through reversed just kind of doubles up on all that I just mentioned. Hardworking, a little bit stubborn, definitely someone who's going to do it the way they want to do it. So if we take a look at this in the upright position, there's a couple things that I really like. First of all, she's basically creating her own beat, her own rhythm, and then this like energy here on the side, like attracts like, the stallion is starting to gallop to the same energy. And one other really cool detail is, look at if you count the number of wands, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yes, this is a knight, but she's encircled in the 4 of wands. And that actually is a really positive signal because, as you know, in the minor arcana, that is friendship. That is something that you can lean on and depend upon. And to me, it's something to pay attention to. So if we look at this right down the center, folks, we have friendship with 4 wands, even though it's a knight. We have 6 of Cups, which is like best friend, brotherly, sisterly, or even deep past like karmic relationships. And then we have, of course, the family card here. So friendly, family, sort of like beautiful energy coming through. If it is love, it's the best kind of love because it's lovers and friends. If it's a new friend in your life, it's like best friend energy. If you're trying to attract an audience, for those of you that are entrepreneurs, keep doing this unique approach. Don't try to conform. The sort of the wild sort of side, this unconventional energy is exactly what you need to call in the partnership and the opportunity, okay? And knights are willing to rethink and to move in the right direction. So this knight in reverse, being that it's wands, it's about kind of reevaluating a way of doing or a way of thinking about something. And she's not afraid to step back and say, I'm going to try that instead. She's also equally as able to say, I'm going to finish what I've started. So you're not going to be a pushover, but you're also not afraid of entertaining possibilities. It's walking that line. And I think the main difference here is it all comes from within. If it feels right, if it sounds right, whether it means changing or staying the course, it's because it's authentic to you. And either way, it may be contrary to what's expected. Some people may want you to change. Some people may want you to stay the same. You have to do you. And that's ultimately what this particular card is saying. Now, how exciting and unusual is it that we have 2 of the cards that would normally show a person that is blindsided reversed? So awakening and awakening. Awakening to a change. Awakening to a possibility. A second chance that's knocking. Gosh, there's so many cyclical cards here and cards of like past life and present. So I feel like everything's converging in a really cool way. Let's talk about this one first, Two of Swords. So the Two of Swords will come through oftentimes when we don't want to look at something. When it's reversed, we can no longer ignore the obvious. It's sort of saying, okay, I'm going to deal with this. It's been bubbling up for a while. Now is the time to deal with something. It can also be coming out of indecision into a decisive sort of mode. You're going to put down one of the sword and pick up one of the other ones and just say, okay, enough with this. I'm choosing this. Or if you're at this fork in the road, you know which way to go because suddenly one becomes a little clearer, a little bit easier. So basically clarity and decisive energy when the card is reversed. This is why personally I like to read reversals. Some of the cards, particularly the low frequency ones, can be transmuted when reversed. It's not always bad to get a reverse card. Sometimes it's desirable. And that's especially the case with these two. Even, well, the moon is upright. Even the moon can be okay if it's reversed because it can be overcoming fear. But in this one, you're definitely opening up to possibilities. Let's talk about how you're showing up this month. Your card this month is the Eight of Cups. And let's take a look at the traditional illustration here as well. We can see both figures are moving away from the present situation to get some insight. And in the traditional card here, there's a little bit of space to return. So why does this appear? First and foremost, sometimes when we're in the middle of something, it's hard to think clearly. And so if there's an important decision that you need to make, like moving in with someone or, moving across the country for a job or any sort of really like which school to go to, any really big life decision, give it a little bit of time. Sleep on it if you can get 24 hours. If you can get a weekend, take that. If you can get a full week, by all means. Then when you come back after you've had time to just sort of breathe and sort out your energy, you're going to have this idea of if it fits for you. And that's the one thing that the traditional illustration shows a little bit better. It's kind of like a puzzle piece. Does this fit in your life? Is it right for you? And if it is, then perfect. You can make your decision and you don't have to worry about it. The Eight of Cups also indicates cycles. So for some of you, there could be on again, off again situations. Could be love, could be work. In a love situation, you might get together and then break up. Get together, break up. In a work situation, someone says they need you for a week or two and then they can't predict when they need you next, and then it's always an emergency. So we saw at the center how to deal with this. It's basically just saying, that doesn't sit well with me anymore, that doesn't work anymore, I need commitment. I need to know that I'm good to go for the next 3 months in a work situation or in a relationship. This is all about monogamy and connection for some of you. Either you want it or they want it, and you have to decide if that works for you or why things aren't kind of like working out the way that they need to, and settle it so that change can come in. Last and most importantly with this one, this indicates that if there was something that didn't work out the way that you wanted, say there was a rejection or the timing was off, you can always circle back later. So it's a card of second chances. That second chance may be right now, or it might come around the bend in a few weeks, months, or years from now. So this is just saying, focus on where the energy is now, and you can deal with that later. Make sure that, if you don't want there to be ambiguity or a loose end with this card, that you specifically shut a door that needs to be shut. That would be my only warning with the Eight of Cups. In the environment, we have death reversed. So for some of you, this is simply the universe saying, now is the time to walk away from anything in your life where there is a stalemate, where there's a lack of progress, or where stagnation exists. Try to open other doors and see where the energy wants to go. And generally speaking, that's just good advice. If we close ourselves off to the opportunities, which is what the Two and the Eight of Swords can do, we never know what's possible. So allow yourself to explore, maybe getting beyond your current geographical borders, your current imagined borders, and really expand and see what's out there. The Death card can also, of course, indicate an actual loss in our life, whether it's a person that we love, a phase of life like retiring or graduating, or getting married or getting divorced. Anytime we're opening or closing a chapter, there's a part of us that mourns or celebrates that passage, that rite of passage. So many of you are just going through one of those big ceremonious rites of passage, and give yourself a moment to sit with that, to allow yourself to get grounded and figure out which direction is next, okay? And it should come naturally once you do that. Again, I feel like some of you might just be overdue for a holiday, a vacation day, a sick day. Just do what you need to do to find that sense of self, okay? This, again, is not a full stop. This is more like a semicolon, or it's more like a skeleton key. So like where one door closed, another one's opening. And really it's a question of what you see. And this card, as we look at hopes, fears, and possibilities, really connects you to what could be the block. So when we look at this is what she sees. She sees maybe what other people are saying, what her fears or anxieties or previous plans had laid out. And the possibilities are endless. She is untethered in reality. But when we're looking here, she feels very much tied to a particular way of thinking, being, or seeing. So the Eight of Swords in reverse is about seeing yourself there as someone who has freedom. And that really was what Spirit invited your sign in particular to look at today. It said to me as I woke up, doesn't it feel good to be free? So I'm encouraging you to see that you have the freedom to walk away, to sign on the dotted line, to speak up, use the free will that is inherent to your, being human, and really engage with that this month and see what kind of doors it can open up. Don't be afraid of the unknown. This can be fear of ambiguity, fear of things that haven't been sort of communicated. Instead, lean into the Page of Swords and ask questions and say, how about this? Or is this possible? Or simply move forward and see where it takes you. This is seeing beyond the obvious and really seeing that there's so much to love in this particular chapter of your life. Let's move on to the outcome, which is the Moon. With the Moon card, the first word that came to mind was integrity. So with the people that you are connecting with, either in relationships or business partnerships, you want to make sure that you are working with integrity, but more importantly, so are they. And if there is anything that isn't working out as you would like it to, now is the time to speak from the heart, speak honestly. And when it comes to plans and activities and anything related to business, it's important to be transparent, clear, and honest. These things are going to elevate your energy. It's going to help connect you with the Moon here itself, which is something that can pull more of the same. So the Moon is going to either amplify the fears or the power in your life. And you really want to put your energy behind what can be most powerful and most impactful. You could be feeling overwhelmed right now, and it's completely okay. This card is very connected to the emotional state. So whatever you're feeling, it's valid. You don't have to do this alone. With this particular card, like I said, there's sometimes a desire to prove I'm strong enough to figure this out on my own. True, but you could also benefit from all the partnership energy that we saw at the center. The Four of Wands surrounding the Knight here, the Six of Cups, the Ten of Cups. Just talking and having someone receive it and listening without prejudice, that's key. Typically that would be in the form of a therapist, but it can be a friend or confidant as well. With this card, it's also a deeply intuitive one, so now is a time to focus on meditation. The last piece really goes to breaking free from conditioning, because we have a wolf and a dog on this card, and typically that is a sort of metaphor for what you're trained and conditioned to do versus what your instincts are telling you. The path is somewhere in the middle, typically, and we can see that here. So if you can get past feeling overwhelmed, if you can get past the emotions, competition, any of the honesty or dishonesty issues, and get back on path, back on track, then this could be a really impactful month. The Moon is also connected to your sign as well, being that it's a heavy water symbol. So this is telling me that you're being poised right now for success. And again, just highlighting everything before we get into the expanded forecast. We have increased energy around relationships. Also, a question when it comes to relationships and projects, which is this something I can count on, or do I need to go in a different direction? This could be a happy or unexpected surprise here, especially with this symbolic Ace of Pentacles floating out to the side. So when you imagine that something better could come along, it could be knocking on the door, and it could be in the form of a water sign as well. So I like everything that I see here so far. Now let's expand this and go a little bit deeper into the energies of health, wealth, love, and destiny. We're going to start everything off with health, which is mind, body, and spirit. Standard disclaimer applies. I'm looking at energy. If there's anything going on with finances, your body, or any other aspect of your life, then work with a professional. We have a very appropriate card coming through here in health because it shows a place where we can focus on. So the sacral chakra connects us to reproductive organs, the kidneys. It's just above the root chakra, and it's basically saying now is a time when you want to focus on things in your life that may restrict expression, because when we look at the sexual organs, they really represent how we express ourselves, how we want to project ourselves into the world. So there may be people in your life, a lot of times this happens in childhood, but it can also be peer pressure to conform, because how you want to dress, speak, what you want to do for a living, anything that basically is an expression of your true self. Sometimes people around you, they get uncomfortable because that's not what they want. That's not what they expected. They want you to fit into a box. But this month, it's all about kind of like creating your own rhythm, your own sort of dance, and knowing that with that, others are going to come into your life that do recognize the authentic you, unconditionally loving and supporting you. But the unconditional love has to begin within. And what we see here is definitely spirit coming through and saying, love what you see. Don't worry about what may or may not be. There's a lot to love, but you have to see it first. Let's look at this card one more time. So there's a lot here to love, but we've been conditioned to see all the negative stuff. The good news this month is it feels like you're starting to get your feet on solid ground and see the potential. And once you do that, the doorways of opportunity open up. All right, specifically now looking at cards that you need to be focusing on, respecting energy around health. The 2 and the 8 of Swords are saying if there's something that you've been sweeping under the rug, a doctor's appointment, asking questions about something, now is the time to get information. Sometimes we have fear over things. Some of you may have something in your life where you're just afraid that it might be worse than it is. You never know until you ask. So these cards are basically saying it's better to know and be armed with knowledge than to not know and have to sort of like play catch up later. Since we had both the 2 and the 8 of Swords reversed and they both have blindfolds, this is a good time for you to check out anything where either hearing or seeing isn't where you want it to be. Get a test. It's always better to check that out. The moon is also connected to reproductive organs and just general hydration. So a couple of times we're looking at making sure that that part of your body is in alignment. And finally, as we're looking at the death card in the environment, it could be for some of you a health wake-up call, right? So something almost kind of exacerbates, but it doesn't, and your doctor has a conversation with you about a better or a more healthier way to be. So this is just the universe saying, you get to choose between this path or this path, and it's up to you to decide which. There could also be you learning a little bit more about family history. So for those of you that are doing some research or talking to someone, you never realized that there was something in your family that you need to be concerned about. So this is basically enlightenment and a choice of a different path, which to me is always a good thing. The more informed you are and the more prepared you are, the better you can be at creating a healthier and better tomorrow. Okay, let's move on from health to wealth, looking at resources, life purpose, and career. All right, as we're looking at wealth, we have the warrior, and it says, be fearless and stand strong. Let's look at this card in the upright position. So for many of you, this could be the challenge because the card was reversed. We could also read this as a king or queen of swords in reverse, which is basically saying, this is a time to be very clear, very to the point, and not mince words. Let's look at what might be going on with respect to the warrior and your sort of general wealth standpoint here. So for some of you, it's about breaking through a perceived barrier or block. If you're at a job and there hasn't been advancement or recognition in a while, yet you've been putting in a lot of work, you've been doing a lot, bringing a lot to the table, it's sort of like, where do I stand? Why am I not having more of a presence here than I currently am? And where is my future? So you're going to have that conversation, and that would be where you would stand up for yourself and say, this is what I need. This is what's not working. Can we talk? Where do we stand? In respect to your finances, there could be also a lack of clarity. So whether that's your investment partner or your partner in love, and you need a little bit more understanding on what's going on here. This is also about saying, I feel like we're at an impasse. I don't understand this. Getting clarity is the main thing that I'm picking up on. And recognition, clarity and recognition, however that sits with you, whether it's in a partnership, at work, or even just recognizing your own sort of relationship with money and wealth this month at any state of life, whether you're a student, working, or retired. That's the important thing. There's a chance now to do something differently, ostensibly even better than before, and that's exciting. What I like about this, though, ultimately is the one financial card that we got was a good one. And it's saying that once you apply yourself, once you really start to focus on something, you see a definite return energetically. It's just a matter of feeling like you have the power and the information to move forward. If there's anything in your life where you don't feel empowered, where you don't feel like you have the information, that's the starting point. Some of you might just be wondering to yourself, which direction next? What makes me feel like I'm standing on solid ground? That's a question that only you can answer, but by asking questions of others, by digging in and figuring out what's available to you, I think this could be the month where you finally get that path sorted out. It may be important before you make any major decision, changing a major, quitting a job, moving in or out of some sort of a situation, including a relationship, that you get a little bit of time just to decide, what do you want? What is it that suits you the best? And the only way to do that sometimes is to get some space and to get some clarity. Overall, because your outcome card is still one of empowerment, the moon can pull into its trajectory something that it wants. It rules the tides. I feel like you can actually make some progress. You have to get past what's obvious. There might be something that needs to be released in your life, stepping through something, and then good things start to come through. Now, for some of you, this death rebirth card in work and career, it indicates something very different. So this can be graduation or retirement, like I said. Some of you might have also been laid off or decided to quit. It's now saying, what do you want next? Anytime one of these things happens to us, whether it is on our own volition or it's something that happens accidentally or coincidentally, which to me is really the universe coming through and saying, it's time. It always offers up a chance for you to say, I don't have to repeat now. Now I can choose to graduate. I can choose to embrace something new. So really sit with it before you move into a facsimile or a kind of like copy of what you're currently doing. Try to change it up. The energy this month is really that of change. Let's see how that affects love relationships in your life. And actually, when I look at love, it can be romantic, platonic, friends, and family with the Oracle card. Then we dig into all the different categories after that. All right, so looking at the high level love with a capital L, we have Joan of Arc, voice of truth, very close to what we were seeing in wealth, which was be fearless and stand strong. So standing strong, speaking up, and this one specifically making sure that your voice is heard. I'm going to read the bottom here, and it says, stand strong, focus on your purpose, release the fear of persecution, and speak your truth. Don't worry if people ask you questions or judge you or don't understand. The most important thing in a relationship, business, friend, or love, is that you can speak from the heart authentically and be yourself. If they can't, won't, or don't embrace that, that is your litmus test. That is your blinking light that's saying, all right, this isn't the one. If they do, however, you know that you've chosen wisely and that everything that we see here down the center is coming into fruition. We're going to break this down into 3 categories next. We'll start with those in a relationship, move to those that are looking for one, and then we'll look at those that are single and happy. All right, let's begin with those of you in a current relationship. Let's highlight the good stuff first. We've got the 6 of Cups, which is that best friend energy, the 10 of Cups, which is family bonds, a Page of Swords touching all of this, which is about communication. And then, as I mentioned, surrounding this knight are 4 wands, and that is a friendship or a bond that can last the test of time. The main thing is to keep an open mind because this card was reversed. With those right down the center, deep past, present, and then where your head's at, I feel like you can navigate anything that comes your way. In a strong relationship, the challenge will just be about communicating hopes, fears, and ambiguity around change. Change is sort of the cornerstone. It's happening here. Good relationships, you're going to lean into the communication. Yes, there's fear. Yes, there's unknowns, but you've been through worse before. You can get through this. For those of you that have difficulty in communicating, you either don't hear each other, or you're sort of projecting maybe fears or anxieties, it's going to be more challenging. And this is where the change could be something that comes between you. But most of you, given these cards here at the center, I feel pretty good about existing relationships, okay? Navigating change. Some of you, it could be actual loss. There could have been someone that you love that is gone. There could be property or other things that you've parted with or lost. Again, this can be death or loss of any sort. So dealing with that is going to really kind of like test the bonds of this relationship. But from what I see, you guys are in a really good place. It is all about this card, folks. Communication. She needs to kind of pull her eyes up from the books and listen. So this is a chance to really look at what's going on around you and talk. And that's the main thing that I'm picking up on. There could also be something out of your control. You didn't see it coming. So again, communicating through this. Before you do anything that's really, really important and can change everything, take a half step and just pause. This is sleeping on it and really making sure that you get all the information. And that's the last thing that I'll say there. Now, for those of you that are looking for love, can you find it? Yeah, but this is like a deep love that would be coming through. Death, rebirth, karmic. We want to make sure that the karma is good karma, because basically soulmate energy is just someone that's carrying luggage with them from a past life. Sometimes you open it up and it's beautiful luggage, and sometimes there's a lot of stuff that you've got to sort through. Here's what I'm seeing around the karma. It is validation, communication, and seeing one another. This is going to hit in all types of relationship, no matter if you're in one, looking for one, or single. Being able to see people and say with gratitude, I appreciate you. I saw that you did that. Thank you. Just that is going to go so far this month that I really just want to pause and say that. Do you know what you're looking for? If you do, that's going to help, but still be open to be surprised at how and when the person comes in. It does feel like many of you are connecting with someone from the past in this lifetime or many lifetimes, meaning, again, karmic energy. What kind of person? It could be a water sign for many of you. We also have fire here. The main thing that I see is you may be too busy doing other things. This is working, this is hanging out with other people, your own family commitments. This could even be just your immediate family, could be taking you away from the opportunity to connect. So take some time, holiday, break, self-care. This will open you up to see what's going on around you. Also, ease into the changes you need to make in your life. Death and rebirth could be a change of job, a change of relationship status, a change in your life, change in your health. The change has to happen first, then everything else starts to come into focus. If you're single and happy, actually, that's ideal right now, because everything that I just said, that's your priority. I feel like getting settled. For many of you, this is a move. We're not even seeing an increased focus on money right now. It feels like changes in life, diet, location, big sort of focal points for your life. That's where the energy is right now. And again, being open to unexpected blessings and changes. So that should be the number one focus for you. And then I think for everybody, just increasing your network, your sort of like professional network, your social network, your personal network, so that you have more people around you. And through that, if you ever do want to focus more on love, you can go there. But self-improvement, self-healing, and just getting a break. I feel like that's the main focus for most of you this month. All right, let's move on to destiny. This is your trajectory. Every single month it changes. This month we have the vulture. And the vulture, of course, being a bird of prey, finding value in things that others wouldn't, which is kind of interesting. It kind of is tantamount to a vacuum cleaner or cleaner-upper out there in the bird kingdom. So this is a time for you to look at things and kind of reassess and think, have I missed something? Is there a resource that I haven't quite tapped into? You've been pretty resourceful here, but this card is absolutely connected with the vulture. So there's a chance for you to take something that you thought might be a lost cause. These two cards together they're very resourceful. It's saying, oh, we can recycle this into this. It could be a creative venture, could be even like something where you could convert it and there might be something that you could sell. Something old is now something new in the form of money. The vulture, again, finding value. Also protecting things from the vultures. So when it comes to negotiation or things that you value most, intellectual property, your relationship, whatever it might be. Make sure that you have insurance, legal protections, and you've taken all necessary precautions, because there might be someone out there that's trying to just capitalize off of something, and you're going to be awake and aware of that, because part of today is really about opening your eyes, your ears, and your heart to what's going on. All right, we're going to take a look now at the sun, rising, and moon messages just to get a better understanding for everyone that might be cross-watching, as well as those that are just watching for the sun sign. We'll get a deeper message as well. Okay. Sun, rising, moon. Okay, we've got some really big cards coming through. In the sun sign, we have the Devil card in reverse. If we're going to get this card, I want to see it reversed because it's basically the antithesis of what the Devil stands for. So for yourself, it's saying, let's begin with unconditional love and acceptance. Sometimes it's the hardest thing, and we saw a little bit of that here in the Eight of Swords. It's basically saying, I'm not going to allow myself to only see this stuff. That's what the Devil wants. I'm going to focus instead on seeing all of the possibilities. It's about honesty. So when it comes to contracts, if something isn't honest, isn't forthright, you're going to underline that and say, this isn't good enough. You're willing to walk your own path and say, I can go in another direction. I don't have to stick with the Devil I know. So the Devil you know is a job or relationship where you're not getting a return on it. You're just staying because there's nothing better. So this is really saying it's a time to cut your strings with those sorts of things and focus on opening up a door of opportunity and looking in different directions, because with both of those blindfold cards, it is about taking them off and looking and seeing, well, how about this? Or have I thought about this? And the vulture itself can represent seeing value in something that you didn't before. The Devil doesn't like transparency. So, honesty and transparency go hand in hand. If there's something you need to do, and again, you're in a challenging situation, really open up your heart, your mind. And I kind of focused on the throat chakra. In relationships, we got the Joan of Arc message here, voice of truth. All of these things will push that sort of cord-attached energy of the Devil in another direction, because it usually finds the path of least resistance. So when you focus on being honest, really focusing on what you want, not putting up with nonsense, and also just building yourself up mentally, spiritually, and physically, again, that Devil energy will go attached to someone else, all right? So that's my advice there. Focus on saying and doing the right thing. Don't be afraid to highlight something that's not good enough for you. And if there is a contract that you're signing, make sure you understand everything, okay? Moving on to rising messages, we have the Wheel of Fortune reverse. In the reverse state, I should say. I quite like the Wheel of Fortune upright or reversed. When it's reversed, it's basically saying a change of fortune or a change of focus. One thing that we see here is all of the sort of casino pieces, the tokens and the dice and all of that. With the reverse of this, it's saying maybe some of you are focusing on things that are more sort of substantial, solid. I like the idea of taking a leap of faith on yourself. So that part is good. But there is a sort of conservative energy with the card reverse, which is saying, let's start to focus on things that feel right, sound right, and kind of like piggybacking off of this. Make sure that there's no shortcuts. That's another message with the Devil. If you do your homework and really continue to put the work in that we saw with this card, then this is a change of fortune, and we could see increased resources coming into your life. One of the things that I really liked here was all of the networking energy. So for those of you that are looking for a new job, a new relationship, something substantial in your life, this card is coming through and it's saying, yeah, you've done the work. Now it's just a matter of not rushing things and being aware of what's around you. Okay? It's within reach. Now let's focus on the moon sign messages. Keeping an open mind is going to be essential. I love the Queen of Wands. She's stubborn, she's bossy, she can get the job done. Sometimes she has this idea that it's my way or the highway. And when it comes to the energy of this month, we can see that partnerships are key. And there may be two of you that have that Queen of Wands energy, and that equals Eight of Swords and Two of Swords. Somebody's going to have to see it halfway. And so I think the key to success this month is finding the middle ground sometimes, knowing when to stand up and say, no, this is what I want, and knowing when to listen. But ultimately, she's one of the most powerful queen cards. I like her as much as the Queen of Pentacles because she can kind of whip something out of thin air, it seems like. You know, it's like a rabbit out of the hat, even though her familiar is the cat. And of course, the cat represents landing on your feet, having 9 lives, so, you know, being able to come back after a challenging situation, and of course, leaning on your intuition. All right, at this point, we're going to focus on the final question. So think about something that I haven't asked already, and I'm going to shuffle the cards and see what's coming through. The meditation this month is a standalone, so I'll put a link in the description below if you want to do the monthly meditation. All right, in the meantime, let's focus on a question that you have that I haven't yet answered, and let's see what Spirit has in store for you. Again, this can be anything. Work, relationship, self. Just think it silently, and we have a beautiful card that's actually in alignment with what we saw at the beginning here. So for the final question today, you have the Ace of Pentacles coming through. And again, I mentioned earlier that the stone card I would interpret as an Ace of Pentacles. And since it was pointing in either direction, it really doesn't matter which way you look at it, it's an arrow and it's pointing all these different spaces. It's saying now is a time more than ever to really think outside of the box. Look at also how hands-on this is. This is like a seed or a bulb that would be planted in the ground. It's going to take time and energy and nurturing, but it's totally worth it. This is the 10th pentacle. So the work that you're doing now can bring you the promise of the 10 of Pentacles, which is basically financial stability. For some of you, the contract of marriage or a signed contract for a job. It can also just be the future for yourself that you've been envisioning, something stable, something predictable, which we were kind of highlighting when we saw this Wheel of Fortune in reverse. It's saying the time of risk and this vacillating of on and off is over. And it's really time to embrace and say, yes, for once and all, this is what I want. This is who I am. And we see someone seeing the value. This can also be a proposal. You proposing something to someone or them proposing to you. Again, job or love, it can be either. A great energy to end this reading with today. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. It's a great way to let me know that this was something that resonated. And then leave a comment below, because not only does that help me decide on like kind of what kind of videos you like, but it helps me know what's going on in your lives too. So leave a comment below. Let me know what your Ace of Pentacles moment is. You can put like a little coin or a little flower and let me know what you're working on. If you'd like to follow me on social media, it's at Nicholas Ashbaugh everywhere. Any exceptions are listed below or on my website, nicholasashbaugh.com. A quick reminder, I do not offer private readings. I don't use DMs to offer products and services. There's a lot of imposters out there, so be smart and block and report anyone that does any of that. Let me know about it as well. Thank you for everyone that decided to give back in the form of super stickers, super chats, super thanks, or memberships. I will try to thank you in real time, or if you leave it in the comments below, I'll leave a heart as well. All right, everybody, thank you. I wish you all the best. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I do appreciate it. A reminder that I drop new videos every Monday, Thursday, and Friday. I do live streams on the weekend every Sunday, and I do daily card reads 7 days of the week. So you can check out all of this on my main channel page, or again, you can go to my website for details. Thanks again, everybody. Sending you lots of love and light. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.